United States, one of the most quote unquote most powerful positions in the world. Okay, the world used
Being a Muslim, I'm not saying this because I'm a Muslim, but I've had the opportunity to live around the world, different countries around the world, and Islam is not a threat. You have different sects of Islam, just like you got different sects of Christian. You got Protestants, you got Lutherans, you got Catholic. Different type of religious orders. And it's the same thing in Islam. You got 4 schools of Islam. Then you have Wahhabism. After Wahhabi, one of the founders of that movement, which is quote unquote designed to make to get back to the purity of Islam, which in effect the rulers of Saudi Arabia, he is about 2 centuries old almost. You go back and date with the scholars that he got in contact with the family of Saud, who rules Saudi Arabia, and they kind of adopted that as their secular part of Islam. This is the radicalized part of Islam, which has nothing to do with the Quranic teachings or anything else. And most of these quote unquote extremists or quote unquote terrorists that you see around the world are followers of this Wahhabism. Now, if you talk about 1 billion Muslims around the world and you talk about secular groups, you can talk about secular groups in Palestine that do things to Palestinians. You can talk about secular groups around the world, Christians and any other Sikh, Hindu, or whatever that are quote unquote against each other. And 9 times out of 10, all of this comes from secular misunderstanding or something that's been done in the past. Mostly Islam is religion of peace. It's been carrying itself as a religion of peace for over 2-3 centuries, so more thousands of years. So no, it is not a warlike religion or whatever. People want to portray it as that, because it's one of the fastest growing religions in the world. It comes down to a question of truth and what people believe and certain things that disturb their belief system. Because if you're a Christian and you say this and we come in Islam and counter that with facts, then those that hate Islam, those that are against Islam will, put up different types of posts or things and say Islam this, Islam that. And the majority of them don't know nothing about Islam. They don't study the Quran, they don't study the Bible, they don't study the Torah. But they allow themselves just like you look at some of the people in Congress and this and that. Some of these people they are paid. They are paid. And so they think, well, we against this, we against that, we against Islam because of this, because of that, because of that. Now, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, what has Islam done to distort the world? Islam is not a capitalistic system. Islam does not promote violence and this and that. Which when you see in the world what's going on, you look at Palestine, you look at Israel, you look at different places around the world. It's easy to say, well, this is Islam. It's a religion of violence and this and that, which it is not. You're looking at secular incidents by certain groups, that are doing certain things. And if you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of that, you got to look at the CIA involvement in some of these groups. Started off with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, who they were arming to fight the Russians from 80 to 88. You got to look at what's going on in Syria, who supported these people. How did this man come into power in Syria in 3-4 days when the Syrian government had them at bay? You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of things going on, and it's a lot of people, especially Christians. Not all Christians. You got those that understand, that those that know Muslims, and they don't see them in the same light as the average person without knowledge of what Islam is. I have to deal with my family, and I have to correct them on certain things, and I show them First of all, by example, then I show them, go on the internet, check this out. You want to know something about this and that? Check this out. And then you come back. And they were like aghast when they came and told me, Unc, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So, no, it is not a religion of war. It's a religion of peace. And sometimes, they had to travel in groups, you understand, to spread the message, because the message was rejected. It wasn't forced on people. They were, given a choice. Hey, look, this is Islam. You want to check it out and see what it's about.
And you know what? To the people that are listening or that are just tuning in, this show is to give information, and there's no compulsion in Islam. But you know what? Islam it has many people that are not educated thinks that Islam is an impediment to the society, to the culture, and that there are groups that have done things wrong and they do not represent every Muslim. I'd like to ask you, we're going to talk about the 5 pillars of Islam, but I would like to ask you, there's a misconception that Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he promoted war against his enemies. And I believe, from my knowledge, it was only done out of defense to tackle things that were perverse to the society. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, in that, as Islam being the new religion in Saudi Arabia, you had customs, you had different tribes, and so these different tribes each had their own following, they had their own beliefs, they had a whole lot of different things, different from Islam. When the message came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, it was a change. And as you know, with anything, especially here in America and around the world, those who are deeply entrenched in their old habits and beliefs, these are the hardest people to get to understand anything at all. And so he had to travel when promoting. He would send his messengers to different countries, which is now Iran, which was Persia back in the day, and different other countries surrounding Arabia. And some of these messengers were met with hostility. I think one time he sent a messenger to Turkey, and I believe before they converted to Islam, the ruler of Turkey, I forgot who it was, sent the messenger's head back to the prophet in a box. So they traveled with, they had to travel with protection while spreading the word. It wasn't no hostility. This was to protect the messengers so they can deliver the word and this and that. Now, Islam has never been a religion of war. It is a religion that fought back against those that didn't believe in Islam, that hated Islam, that were against Islam because it did not coincide with their customs and their beliefs at the time. It was brand new, so they fought against it. We don't want your religion. We don't want to hear this. We got our beliefs. We got our idols. We got our statues. This is what we believe in. You trying to change us from doing this? We reject it. So the Quraysh and different other tribes got together, and Jewish tribes. You had, Arabic tribes or whatever, that the Bani Israel, for example, that rejected Islam because it brought about change. And so, go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm listening to you.
Yes, so it brought about it was a radical change, because with Islam came a law. How to treat your women, how to treat your children, how to treat your parents, how to bathe, how to take care of yourself, how to treat people in public, how to greet people. Teacher taught you the alphabet. It taught you a lot of different things, unlettered people, and it brought about a unity to a disorganized people who had no real religion, who had no true course, who had no following. It was not just a religion, it was a way of life also. You held court, you had some of the judicial things in Islam. The Western world has adopted. They won't tell you that. They didn't have jurisprudence and other things that they have now without Islam. And so Islam was hated because it was a radical change from their behavior. You want to drink wine, you want to chase women. In Saudi Arabia at the time, bandits will rob your house. They'll kill everything in the house, women, children, dogs, cats. No law, no rights for the women, no respect for the women, none of that.
Excuse me, Brother Lonnie. So are you saying that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he never initiated war against anyone?
I didn't hear you.
Are you saying that the Prophet of Islam, peace and blessings be upon him, never initiated war against anybody?
No, he protected himself when he traveled these tribes in and around Arabia disliked him because he was spreading truth and people were adopting to it. It's like me coming to you saying, "Hey, man, this is the wrong way you're doing this. Why don't you try this?"
Yes.
If you've been doing that for such a long time, it's hard for you to adapt to a new habit unless you have a radical mindset that's able to adopt. And most people are stuck in their ways, stuck in their habits. They don't want to change. And that change that Islam brought has a change for their lifestyle. Stop drinking wine, stop chasing women, stop all of this, stop that, marry women, do a lot of different things, treat your children right.
And when we talk about this within the society and the culture, that Islam is not a threat to the society, why is it that people don't speak badly of Constantine when he hung up the cross and said, "With this sign we will conquer"? And who was Constantine? And can you explain that?
Well, Constantine was the emperor of Rome, and so I don't know the complete history. I know about him, but I know some of the things that he done. And when the Romans accepted, remember they were pagans. They worshiped different gods, God of the sun, God of the moon, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't have one God. So when they became Christian, they became, quote unquote, entrenched in the religion, and their goal, quote unquote, was to spread Christianity around the world. Like they did in Africa. But you can't have a blunderbuss in one hand and a Bible in the other trying to spread religion. You weren't spreading the religion. You were indoctrinating people. And when they didn't accept it, you took over their lands, you killed them. You did a lot of things. And so the same thing with him. And if you compare the same comparison, you can compare King Leopold of Belgium to Hitler. Oh, Hitler, a bad man. He killed 5.6 million people, including the majority of Jews.
Mm-hmm.
But King Leopold killed in between 15 to 25 million Black people over a 10-year period in the Congo, and he's not a villain. You see what I'm saying? Because he's Belgium. He come from a quote unquote a civilized country. So these are the comparisons. These are the things that you get. Hitler came from a civilized country to Austria. But at the same time, he's a murderer. He's a menace because he's responsible, quote unquote, for the Holocaust. But there's more than one Holocaust. Mm-hmm. But that's just a simple comparison when you start comparing Islam to different other religions. There is a mutual jealousy. There's always been a mutual jealousy against Islam, and one of the major reasons is not just because of change. It's because of the prophecies in Islam that it would excel the other two religions by merit, not by force, not by violence, but by the purity of the teachings in the Quran. And the misinterpretation about this come from, you have some Muslims who are disheartened because they want to live the Western lifestyle, So now I'm adopting. You got, for example, I'm gonna give you an example. You got this one guy in Sweden who was accused. He's from Iraq. I forgot. I think his parents are Syrian or whatever. But he was raised in Iraq. quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, he was a terrorist. Then he became gay. Now he's living in Sweden. And he's the one that, if you heard about the guy in Sweden burning the Quran, get people gathering around, that's him.
Yeah.
And the reason he's burning the Quran is because he, first of all, he turned his back against the religious. He turned his back,
Apostate.
yes, sir, against
Mm-hmm.
people in the religion and including his family. And he turned his life into something that shouldn't be. He's a man. He's trying to be something that he's not. Which we're gonna. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that. And so
Mm-hmm.
some of these people, you got some of these women. You got to look at all societies are not perfect, and some in some families in Islam you have a strict thing that some of the daughters that go into school with Western children, this and that, they want to look and dress and this and that. It's not a brainwashing. Their eyes are being opened to different things, and their interpretation of what they see, which doesn't correspond to their religion, and them trying to be able to adopt and trying to be coherent in these other societies with Christianity and different other religions, sometimes throw them off and make them feel kind of offbeat being a Muslim, instead of accepting who they are and understanding the religions and the societies that they're in, but staying steadfast to where you come from and who you are. And some of
Yes.
these are the changes, and some of these are the people that are against Islam. You take the Persian family wants to shine, our Iran family. These are some of the steepest people against the people that's running Iran right now, for the simple reason they were deprived of the billions that the Shah was getting. They're in California, they're all over the United States. They got different type of hate groups against Iran and this and that, promoting the destruction of the country they came from. I
Yes.
was born and raised in this country. I don't care how much I talk about it, how many other things that will go down. I would never, trade this country off for anything else, or expose or spy. Do none of that. I may not like what's going on, but I was born and raised here. I deal with it, and I deal with other
Mm-hmm.
people in different other societies on the same level. I'm a Muslim. I deal with my religion. I deal with a lot of different other things, but I would never. I may, if I denigrate the country, I'm born and raised here, I'm allowed to talk about what I know, but I would
Mm-hmm.
never try to join forces against it, because that ain't what that's about. But that's just me personally. And that's an understanding which some they try to say that you radicalize once you become a Muslim. It's not true.
Let me say to the listening audience, I see there are a lot of people looking on YouTube and other social media websites. If you like this broadcast, please press the like button, the thumbs up, because it helps with the algorithms so we can get more attention towards the subject matter. Okay. And leave a comment, a suggestion, or also a question in the chat room. My question is to you is, when we talk about Islam, how are people? Why do people perceive? Some people perceive Islam as being an enemy to the West in the world, and before you become a Muslim, we talk about one of the five pillars. You have to take the Shahada, and what is Shahada?
That's your let me get the word correct. It's not
Your
your it's not your initiation. You are making a pact with God, saying that you accept Islam as your religion, you accept the Prophet Muhammad as the Prophet of Islam, and you believe in Allah. That's
yes.
a short version of it. We can go on and on, but you accept in Islam, you make a pact with Allah, you make a promise to yourself and Allah that you will follow and adhere to the religion, and it's simple. It's nothing. How can I say? It's,
Yeah, I hear you. Your picture went out, but go ahead. Uh huh. Excuse me for 1 minute. Your picture or your visual went out, but go ahead. Okay. You might just have to refresh it. That's all. Okay. Go ahead. I'm listening. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. No. But you never criticized the nun for covering up. You never did that at one time. I get what you're saying. I get it. You know, and brother Lonnie, how is it that people could perceive Islam as being an enemy to the West in the world? And the second pillar of Islam is that you make your salats, you pray. And what I mean, can you explain that and what the salats entail? And how could you be an enemy if you're praying? I forgot how many times a day. Can you tell me? I know. So Islam is not a threat to the West of the world because they're praying, striving to pray 5 times a day. Is that what you're saying, brother? Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. 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 Yes.
What your grandfather was doing. Any message for your grandchildren? Great, great.